Hello everybody. Today we will look into the question, what is RAG? So RAG stands for Retrieval-Augmented Generator and is probably the hottest architecture currently in the Gen AI market. So what is a RAG system? Just imagine some years ago, Google was able to index all documents, all the web so good that everybody used Google because Google had the best results. And now imagine that in your company, in your corporation, you also have a lot of documents. There is an enterprise search in any big corporation. And if you search there for documents, the result quality is not so good because the indexing is not so good. Google's indexing was so good that they generated a big business, for example, with Google Ads, that if you want to target new audiences, you could book these ads at Google. And due to their good search index and delivering the best results, they combined this with ads. And so the conversions rate were the best. Now you understand that, for example, if you have a good index, you can generate great things. And now imagine you would have this good quality on your own documents in your corporation. And this has been democratized with LLMs because now based on LLMs, you're able to index your internal documents and you make them searchable as good as Google did it in the past. And if you have such an internal Google search, you can do great things like, for example, increase your productivity because the old knowledge, the historical knowledge, the legacy that you have on your internal documents, for example, what is your legacy, you can increase the productivity because everybody can leverage the old knowledge. In addition to this, you can improve decision making because you have the old data, historical knowledge, and you see how you have behaved in the past. In addition to this, you can scale knowledge across teams because you democratize the knowledge. You make it searchable. And this is why RAG revolutionizes how you work. And currently, in 80% of the Gen AI systems, RAG is the basis. So now we will look into the question, how does it work? So first, as already explained, what is very important, what did Google best in the past is indexing. So what you have to do is you have to index your documents. Usually for this, you use an embedding model. Imagine you use the old Facebook Llama 3.1 model. So old, it's just some months old. And you search for Tesla's financial results of the last years. And you ask, what was Tesla's revenue over the last 3 years? Probably the answer of Llama 3.1 will be that in the last year, in 2021, there was a revenue of X billions dollars. Think about this. Last year was not 2021. Last year was 2023. And the reason why Llama answers with 2021 is that, as we've learned in the last episode, that it has been fed with old information, so with historical information. In order to bring new information into such an LLM, which is trained on historical data, you have to feed in new documents. And this can also be done with RAG. So what you do is you index new documents like the Tesla's 10K report. And for this, you apply an embedding model. Embedding model means that you take the documents with all the words, with all the charts in it, and you transform it in a lower dimensional space. This is done via this embedding model, and this is stored in a vector database. By doing this, you make this document searchable. You, for example, you learn features, you extract information, and you all put it into this vector database. The basis for all of this is the first step, the indexing, which is done with an embedding model. And based on this index, which is more or less stored in the vector database, you are now able to retrieve information. This is the retrieval phase of the RAG architecture. This means, for example, if a user searches what was Tesla's revenue over the last 3 years, that this question is taken, and based on this question, the LLM asks for results from the vector database. And now, based on this question, the information, the answers are retrieved, and then the results are taken, and an answer for the user is generated. And this is the generation phase, based on the prompt of the user. Now I want to give you some other concrete examples. So the first example was things like searching on Tesla's financial documents. And this could be the first use case. In any big corporation, you have a lot of financial documents and you have to search on them to get historical data, for example, like how was the revenue in this market in the world, or how much money did we make in Turkey last year, things like that. Now let's look into another use case. Imagine that, for example, you have floor plans of buildings, right? And you want to search in historical data in order to make a cost estimation. What you can do now is that you take all these old floor plans and you index them. You go through all the text, through all the estimation, through all the images. This is also possible. You transcribe the images, you index them into a vector database, and based on this, you can now make very fast cost estimations for new projects. Another example, which we set up recently, is that you want to create a digital customer twin. Imagine that based on Google reviews that you have for a corporation, you take all these Google reviews, you index them into a vector database, and now you define the user's prompt in a way that you say, imagine you are a customer. If the user asks, for example, what can I improve in terms of the service, all these historical Google reviews are taken, which have been indexed, and now I can look into these historical reviews and pull them out, and based on the answers that I get from the vector database, the LLM thinks like a customer and gives you answers like, for example, what you can improve overall, and generates a user-friendly response. Or you can not only use it to understand the past of the business, what you can improve, you could also look into the future. And based on the answers, the LLM thinks into a future prospect of your business and gives you, for example, feedback if this service you would imagine would make sense or not. The possibilities of RAG are limitless, to be honest, and as already mentioned, in 80% of Gen AI solutions that we currently build, RAG is the basis. So if you want to implement your own RAG system or you need help, reach out to me. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. See you next week.